In this video, I'm going to show you how to create and customize UITextView. And first, I'll do it using interface design, and then we will do it using Swift code. So I have an empty project here and one UI view controller. So to find UITextView, I want to open right side panel. If it's closed, click on this very first button here on the right. And then in your objects library, look for UITextView. If you type UI text, you will find UI text field and UI text view. And the biggest difference between these two is that UI text field displays only one line of text, and UI text view displays multiple lines of text. It will have a scroll view, and user will be able to scroll up and down if text is so large that it doesn't fit into UI text view. And there are many other differences between these two. So I will click drag and drop UI text view into my interface on my view controller, and I can position it anywhere, just like any other UI component. And for example, I will position it here and resize it a little bit, width and height. And by default, UITextView comes with some lorem ipsum text, like blah 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 text. You can edit this text to the one you want. I will leave it so that we can work with it a little bit. So you can change it, type whatever you want in here. Okay, and by default, text view is selected to be plain, but you can also select an attributed option, and that will mean that you will have a lot more controls over your text. For example, you can select one line of or a couple of words of text and make them of a different font size. Like, for example, increase it like this. You see lorem is now larger and the rest of the text font size is smaller. Or you can select another word and then change its background color just for that word. So I've selected, for example, colors. Here they are, and then I'll select something like red, and that word only will have a different background, and so on. So it's a very customizable form of text, and you can do a lot here. So but we will continue with plain. Once you set it to plain, you will lose all formatting, so be careful here. And but while you have plain text selected, you can still format its foreground color and background color. For example, I will change the color of this text from black to something like a dark gray, or it's a light gray color. And I can still change the font size to make it larger or smaller, or I can change font to be of a different family. Now it's Helvetica, or I can change it to Kalisa, for example, or something very different, Arial, like this. You see change, the font has changed. And we can work with alignments. By default, it is aligned to the left. I can align the text to the center, right, justified, where I have a text equally distributed across the text view, and it touches both a left edge and the right side edge. Or I can have it set to a natural alignment. And natural means that if you're running mobile application on device which is set to, for example, language which naturally is aligned to from the left side. For example, English, we write from left to right, while in some Arabic language, for example, it's otherwise, from right to left. So if your mobile application is running on the device which is set to Arabic, then natural will be from right to left. Okay, so I will set it to justify like this, and some of other things I'll show you. For example, behavior. By default it is selected, and that means that this text view is editable. If I run it now, I will be able to click and edit some of its text. So if you want your users to be able to edit the text, you want it editable. For example, you're building a registration form, and there you're asking users to type in their bio. Of course, you want it to be editable so that users can type in some of the text. And if you want to make it selectable, you want to check that. For example, users want to select part of this text, copy and paste it into a different field. If you uncheck this too, then users won't be able to edit and they won't be able to select. So if you want to prevent users from selecting some of the text or everything from this text view, just uncheck this selectable. Okay, so text view can also detect links and phone numbers and addresses, for example. And if you are displaying some text inside of text view and that text contains a domain name or a link to your website, then users will be able to click on it, and that link to a website will be detected automatically. But for that, you will need to uncheck editable. Field cannot be editable and at the same time enabled for links. This too will not work. So if you want links to be detected automatically, you will want it to be not editable and selectable. So let's run, for example, a simple example and see how our text view looks like. And I will add right away, for example, my website address, www.swiftdeveloperblog.com, and I'll add some random phone number. It doesn't exist. I'll just come up with it right now. 778-998, I don't know, 001, something like this. Don't try calling this number. Okay, so if I want my website address to be detectable, I will click on links, and if I want phone number to be automatically detected and user will be able to tap on it, I will click on phone numbers, and I will make sure it is selectable, and I'll make sure the text view is not editable. Otherwise, these details will not be detected. And I can scroll down a little bit, and I'll change the background color of the text view to something different from white. I'll change it to silk color, and now let's change the text color to something like black. Okay, and I did not hit enter. I made changes to the text, but I did not hit enter. Let's hit enter. Now I see changes are reflected in my text view. So now I can run it and see how it works. Very good. My mobile app is up and running, and I see that my website address and phone number stands out of the text. This text, I see scrolling is working, and if I click and hold on my domain name, it prompts me with few options. I can copy, or add it to my reading list, or I can simply click on it. It will open a website address in the browser. Okay, so that works. Let's continue. And if I scroll down a little bit, the next section is capitalization, correction, spell checking, keyboard type, appearance, and return key. So let's talk about the first three. I think these are very interesting. Okay, capitalization. Capitalization means that if I choose, for example, capitalization words, that will make every word starting with the capital letter. And if I choose sentences, that will be that every sentence will start with the capital letter, which is natural. And if I choose all characters, well, that will make every single character capitalized. But notice that even though I've selected all characters, it's not reflected in my design. And if I run my application now, it also won't be reflected there right away. For example, let's run it. Okay, here's my mobile application, and none of the characters is capitalized. And this is because my text is set right away, and capitalization will work only for the text that user provides. And for user to be able to provide text, this text field will need to be editable. So to make my text view editable, I will need to come back to my attributes inspector and check this editable for behavior. So once I check this, now my text view will be editable, and if I run it again, and if I type new words, the characters should be capitalized. So if I type GHTY space C, they're capitalized. If it doesn't work for you, then make sure that you have disconnected keyboard, because most of the time this connect hardware keyboard is checked on, and then you're able to type with your keyboard on the computer. And you see that if I type with my keyboard on my computer, the characters are not capitalized, even though capitalization is turned on. So for it to work, you'll need to go to hardware, keyboard, and disconnect this connect hardware keyboard. And it will work on mobile device, but if you're running and testing it on simulator, just make sure you've disconnected the keyboard. Okay, so let's go back and look at the correction and spell checking. And let's bring our capitalization to none. Okay, let's check. Correction will be set to yes, and spell checking will be set to yes. And again, when you set it to yes, even though it's selected in the preview here or in the design, it's not reflected because you need to run your application. So I will run it now. Okay, my mobile app is up and running, and I can click into my text view and start typing. So let's type a word home. I'll type home, I'll click space, and everything is correct, no typo. Let's now make a typo in the word simply. So I'll type simply, L-I, and then I'll tap on space. And because I made a typo, simply is underlined with a red line, telling us that there is a typo in this word. And now if I select this word, it will auto-suggest me that how to correct it. And I can correct it whether into simple or simply. So I'll select simply, and it's now corrected. So our spell checking and correction works. And before I finish with this, please notice that a phone number and the website address is not detected. I cannot click on it anymore to go into to my website address. And this is because my text view is editable. When your text view is in edit mode, your links and phone numbers are not detected. You will need to uncheck editable for it to work. Okay, anyways, let's continue.